Hello, I'm Adrian Atkinson and you're watching Jamaica Magazine. This island home of ours is making significant progress in our economic agenda, meeting IMF targets and achieving growth as well, with a projection of 2.5% growth in gross domestic product for the financial year.
Now is the time to recommit ourselves to the task at hand, the task of ensuring that we secure for future generations a Jamaica that is economically independent and can one day be a net contributor to the international community.
We invite you to stay with us as the package unfolds right now.
The government has big plans for communities across Jamaica as it continues to drive economic growth and job creation. Come hear the plans in a series called OPM Live. OPM Live is a forum in which government and community officials update residents on development plans in their area. The series begins on Thursday, September 21. Barbican. OPM Live will come to you on Thursday, September 21 at 6 p.m. at the Loshusan Roundabout. OPM Live, taking government to you. Brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister, building a prosperous Jamaica.
Good day, I'm Carrie-Ann Smith and this is your JIS News for Thursday, September 21. Maintaining economic growth and job creation while tackling crime were among the issues tapped into by Prime Minister Andrew Holness as he hosted his quarterly press briefing Thursday at Jamaica House. Our reporter Janisha Dugan has more in this report.
The primary surplus balance is at $86.8 billion, $23.9 billion more than the budgeted target. The tax revenue is at $54.5 billion compared to $51.2 billion budgeted.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness revealing positive growth signs in the Jamaican economy. He says employment figures for April stood at 1.2 million, 35,800 more than the corresponding month in 2016. And Prime Minister Holness says his administration is working swiftly to pass more legislations to tackle corruption and organized crime. The Prime Minister says he will be opening the debate on the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency bills at the next sitting of Parliament. Mr. Holness also reiterated confidence in the further implementation of zones of special operations to reduce crime on the island.
One zone would not have an impact on the national murder rate and the immediate surroundings. And if any journalist is interested, you could go and check what is the impact on the zone in terms of crime and on the police district in terms of crime. As the zone is rolled out in terms of fulfilling its 60 days and then reassessed, you could at the end of the year extrapolate whether or not the reduction in that zone had an impact on the national outturn at the end of the year. But when we bring down our murder rate, it will be sustained and it will be for the benefit of all Jamaicans.
Reporting for JIS News, I'm Janisha Dugan.
The Money Musk Sugar Factory in Clarendon will remain open for the 2017-2018 sugar crop. Agriculture Minister Carl Samuda made the announcement Wednesday, saying the decision was taken following discussions with operators Pan-Caribbean Sugar Company.
Pan-Caribbean will return some 25,000 acres of leased land located at Bernard Lodge and Money Musk to the government of Jamaica. That gives effect to our control of that land to go in search of new investors, to develop an amount sufficient to make the production of cane at Money Musk viable.
Minister Samuda says in addition to Pan-Caribbean's brown sugar quota, the company will be allowed to import and distribute refined sugar. Still on sugar, Minister Samuda says changes have been made to the regime for the importation of refined sugar for the retail trade. This, he says, is in an effort to stop the leakage of refined sugar imported by manufacturers into the country.
Going forward, the granting of permits to import refined sugar for the retail trade, not for the manufacturing sector, for the retail trade, will be restricted to approved marketing agents or other entities as determined by the minister.
Minister Samuda is also reminding persons that they may be fined up to $3 million and their goods seized if the sugar they sell is not properly labeled. No retail sugar must be sold in a package other than what's prescribed by amendments under the Bureau of Standard Regulations that govern the sale of sugar. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck has marked February 2018 for the acquisition of additional space for the Court of Appeal. This as the building which housed the Accountant General's Department in downtown Kingston is being renovated to house more office space for the court. Minister Chuck says the work should start in a matter of weeks. The minister says the additional space will ease the backlog in the High Court and allow for the appointment of additional judges.
I am working on the basis that the contractors will start the work and finish up at least the office space for the judges by February next year. But the 3 courts may well not operate before May or June of next year.
And finally, Cabinet is now reviewing a new policy and strategic action plan for national infant and young child feeding. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the policy and action plan will better inform healthcare professionals and parents of the proper nutritional habits to be developed in children. Dr. Tufton adds that aspects of the policy and plan have already been implemented.
With the support of the government and non-government partners, several interventions have been implemented which resulted in significant improvements. These include training programs for healthcare workers, public education campaigns and community-level interventions such as support groups for mothers. It is the aim of this ministry to continue these interventions along with others in pursuit of the agreed targets.
Minister Tufton was speaking Tuesday at the launch of the 2-day National Breastfeeding Conference. Held under the theme Sustaining Breastfeeding Together, the conference forms part of National Breastfeeding Week from September 17 to 23. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Carrie-Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
The Ministry of National Security has been reaping positive results from its crime-fighting measures. This includes a reduction in 5 categories of major crimes and the recovery of over 500 illegal guns. Portfolio Minister Robert Montego was in St. Anne recently, and in sharing his plans, he urged residents to get involved in the fight against crime. Here's a recap.
Crime is not a police matter, it is a people's matter, and it is affecting everybody, and we must understand the effect of crime.
Minister of National Security Robert Montego setting the foundation for his discussion with residents and business persons in St. Anne during his town hall meeting in August. In his presentation, persons were brought up to speed with the impact of crime on the country's economy.
Crime costs us in Jamaica approximately 5% of GDP. If it wasn't for crime, we would be able to fix more roads. The councillors would be able to put up more street lights. The schools would be better equipped. We would have more water in more communities, better garbage collection, and better services at the hospital and health centers.
To create the change needed, Minister Montego encouraged the residents to work with the police to curtail and solve crime-related matters.
We see the crime, we know of the perpetrator, but we remain silent. We as citizens must begin to help the police and not the criminal. And by our silence, we are helping the criminal. It is our silence that empowers them.
Minister Montego shared results seen since the employment of new technology within the police force. The security officers have been able to stem the flow of illegal guns and cybercrime.
Using ballistics and using an app developed by a Jamaican police officer, Sergeant Bernard, we are able to track some illegal guns. This year we have picked up over 500 more guns than last year. We have been arresting more and more persons who are engaged in skimming of people's credit cards.
A comprehensive approach is also being taken under the National Security Ministry's 5-pillar crime prevention strategy. It not only seeks to reduce crime, but also create behavioral and social change.
We are employing more retired judges and court staff and utilizing more court space so that we can begin to clear the backlog. We have amended the plea bargaining act, and we are employing some 20 attorneys at law to be attached to the police force to help the police to make the cases better so they get better conviction in the court. But I must tell us all that every week across Jamaica, the police win a case. We are moving to build out more homework and after-school programs and homework centers, children curfews. So we are doing parenting programs through CSJP, sports and recreational programs.
To reduce the opportunities for crime and violent activities, the government will be upgrading informal settlements through the Land Administration and Management Program, repairing streetlights and engaging in zinc fence removal, among other things. By year-end, a fully networked island-wide closed-circuit TV camera system is expected to come on stream for use by the police.
That will allow the private person to give us a feed, and then we'll put at the back end an analytics program so that we'll be able to use facial recognition. We'll be able to track cars.
The National Security Ministry is also implementing rehabilitation measures for the smooth reintegration of inmates at correctional institutions. Steps are also being taken to bring the police force up to its full capacity and to treat with the welfare of officers. After the presentation, it was time for feedback. Residents posed questions to Minister Montego and his team.
I would ask that you ask your diplomatic channel to see how you can work out some arrangement whereby some of those assets that belong to some of those deportees are now given to you, the ministry, to help with the reintegration program of those people when they come back here.
We actually do have an agreement with some countries that the Proceeds of Crime Act, our version of it, that whenever things are appropriated in other jurisdictions and we have a role to play, we can apply, and there is a mutual exchange treaty. And we have received funds under that treaty.
When the police take the guns from the gunmen out on the street, where those guns goes?
The gun is taken to the lab, it's fired and recorded and locked away for disposal. We used to dump them in the sea some years ago, but we found that method was not in keeping with the environment. So they are now melted. By policy again, justices of the peace are usually invited to witness on behalf of the public the melting of these weapons.
What the FLA is doing, that by December of this year, every legal weapon must have a ballistic signature registered with the FLA, otherwise we are going to revoke the license. So therefore, if a legal weapon is fired, we will be able by bullet fragments to tell you which gun fired that bullet and can match it.
When you come up and speak and your life is in danger, is there a system in place to protect us, the citizens?
You don't have to give your name, just give the information. And we also have a witness protection program in Jamaica. And we have settled witnesses all over the world, depending on the threat level and depending on the circumstances. But every case is treated individually.
The conversation on ensuring security and safety for all continues as more Jamaicans become part of the process, making Jamaica a safe place to work, live, raise families, and do business.
See, Marcia husband, him a one of the biggest juggies.
Wait, somebody a scream.
Lord, them a bundle up rice to work and never pay the extortion money.
Who them man there? How would them a do with Jackie little daughter?
It's serious times. Speak up for justice and keep your eyes open. When you hear about any crime, report it. Silence brings violence.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Up next, a look at government's intervention for children with special needs.
I can see clearly now.
Early Stimulation Program is an intervention assessment catering to the various developmental needs of children with disabilities from birth to 6 years old. The program operates through the Ministry of Labour and Social Security under its Integrated Social Protection and Labour Program.
The Early Stimulation Program is an excellent program, and it provides intervention for children with developmental challenges from 0 to 6 years old, whether physical or mental challenges. It identifies and it intervenes at an early age.
The program is to assist these children who are sometimes left behind, disregarded, stigmatized, to reach their highest potential and to be mainstream, whether into the special education program or the regular education system.
Approximately 30,000 children have been assisted by the Early Stimulation Program, ESP, since its inception in 1975, and over 6,000 of them have been placed in regular primary schools or special education centers. Children in the program have varying types of developmental disabilities and are all ably catered for through intervention strategies employed by specialized professionals.
Our stimulation exercises look at least at 5 developmental domains. They look at the language of the child, the cognitive, the social and emotional, the growth and fine motor adaptive. This helps us to sort of set their program and to take them through the developmental process.
Children who are brought to the Early Stimulation Program are usually referred by the hospitals, infant and basic schools, and by social workers and guidance counselors.
When they are referred, what we do is a developmental assessment to see where they are, and then we put together a program tailored to meet their developmental needs.
The work of the ESP is not limited to the centre. Child development officers are also in the field, working with children at schools, nurseries, and also in communities through home visits.
They receive other assistance through the ministry, the PAD program, for adaptive aids, wheelchairs, eyeglasses. They are part of the PAD program, which gives further assistance, also through small rehabilitation grants that assist the families of these children to better help themselves.
A number of improvement projects are being implemented, which will provide the students with resources to improve the quality of their learning. Of note is the new $87 million multi-purpose facility built at the ESP location on Hanover Street, downtown Kingston, to replace the building that was there. Funding was provided through the Inter-American Development Bank's Integrated Social Protection and Labour Program.
This modern centre represents and provides a new lease on life for children with disabilities whose well-being and welfare will be further enhanced. The ESP currently provides care and support to over 1,500 children with disabilities island-wide, and the services are available to persons from all strata of society.
This is a very significant milestone because it's the only service of its kind that's provided by the government of Jamaica, where children can be provided with assessment and early intervention, and it also helps the children to benefit from the services that will help them to be the best that they can be.
The new facility now boasts an administrative block, assessment clinic, staff room, multi-purpose meeting room, receptionist and waiting area, assessment rooms, sensory and speech therapy room, physiotherapy room, green space and play area.
Children, when you see their faces, then you know that they are satisfied, and it will only help them to fulfill their potential. In terms of the staff, they are elated, they're excited, they're happy, and of course feel appreciated for the work that they have been doing over these years. And so this will only help them to do more and to be more productive.
Once you visit one of these homes, you can feel the genuine love oozing from the people who teach them. They're not called teachers, they're called aunts. And the children have bonded with them in such a positive way.
I don't know how to manage without this place. Just don't know how to manage. The staff at the stimulation program, they let our babies feel like human beings. You feel special, Words can't explain.
My child was
both feet were twisted. And this program has helped him to get off the twisted foot because he couldn't walk. He's now walking, running, he's all over the place, on his toes. This program has done marvelous for him.
She coming here, she wasn't doing anything but carrying her to the early stimulation. She started creeping, she started holding on, she started getting up off her own. And it make a big difference to me because when I used to have her home, she wasn't doing anything at all. But carrying her here and to the physiotherapy, yes, it's work. So no more crying for me. This stimulation here helps us because we are poor, we can't afford, the other places. So this helps us to know more about our child and also to stimulate our child to get better, and we meet other parents that is suffering the same way that we are feeling, and help us to get over our problems. They take us to seminars, differently from our sessions that we have here at this building. So he has improved a lot. And it's not me alone see it either, don't it, Si?
And though the program has been reaping positive results, there are plans to further expand its offerings.
The early stimulation program reaches approximately 1,500 children. Currently, we have 3 facilities, one on Hanover Street, which is our main facility where we do assessment of our children. We also have another facility on Austin Avenue in Kingston, and that facility is the Early Childhood Center educational facility. We also have a center in Portland that was opened last year, and most recently we just opened another facility in Catherine Hall, Montego Bay. Our facility at Austin Avenue will also benefit from support from the IDB, where we'll be expanding that facility to be able to cater to an additional 40 children. We also have plans in the future, when we're working with our partners, to open a center in St. Anne, and as time goes on, we hope to expand where we have at least one facility in each parish.
The ESP also facilitates the provision of field placements for tertiary level students in the fields of physical therapy, psychology, social work, and early childhood education.
As the ministry continues to serve children with special needs and their families, our aim is to build on the foundation of this assessment center and multipurpose facility and strengthen the pillars of accessibility and range. For in serving our community of persons with different abilities, we can achieve a desired society which is inclusive, participatory, and empowering for all.
I would like to say to parents, don't sit there and wait saying you don't have the money or you can't afford to. It is free. Come in and have your child assessed and begin the intervention program with your children with special needs. The sooner the better. Don't sit and wait.
For further information on the early stimulation program, call 922-5585 or visit their office at 95 Hanover Street in Kingston.
The 2017 Atlantic hurricane season has been very active, causing severe damage to properties and loss of lives. Sections of the Caribbean is still experiencing the effects as they brace for even more rains. For the ordinary man, it's not easy to tell how systems will operate, so we journey to the Met Office to find out how hurricanes and other weather patterns are monitored.
Weather forecasting is trying to determine the changes in the atmosphere.
Several methods are applied to gather weather data, from simple observation
It's critical to assess the clouds because the cloud is one of the most important elements of determining a forecast.
To the use of satellites, radars, buoys, and weather aircraft. Forecasters from around the world share information generated by advanced computer software and remote sensing equipment, such as this automatic weather station. Working together, data is synchronized or matched, making it possible to predict the weather from virtually anywhere in the world. Weather collecting devices like buoys, which are equipped with special sensors and networked to computer software, are strategically placed and anchored along the seas or left to drift in response to ocean currents and winds. These networks of buoys provide forecasters with hourly updates on marine measurements related to wind conditions, barometric pressure, air and sea surface temperatures, as well as wave data. The Doppler radar is another useful tool. Radar stands for radio detection and ranging, and it works based on a series of principles named for Austrian physicist Johann Christian Doppler. This sophisticated instrument allows forecasters to monitor the speed and direction of severe weather systems. Data from all sources are fed to central points for analysis and comparison, and are shared all over the world.
And in doing that, we are able to produce what we call a synoptic chart. In producing this chart, it gives us a picture of what is happening across Jamaica and the region. Region here meaning the Caribbean area. After we do that, then we also look at what we call weather prediction models. These models enable us to determine what is going to happen in the future. What we do with the model is that we make an analysis of the model and we make a comparison between the model forecast and what we had done on the synoptic chart.
At this stage, a determination can be made as to what will happen over the next 12 to 24 hours with an outlook for up to 5 days.
In looking at the information, then we determine what the features are and what the influence of these features would be across Jamaica, which would indicate if the day is going to be cloudy, if it's going to be fair, or we expect showers, thunderstorm, or a very windy day.
From the more urgent situations, such as an approaching hurricane, to the less crucial, like where to go for a sunny vacation, news on the weather is always useful. And very important for fishermen and others who must navigate the seas for a living.
We also issue marine products, so persons who are going out to sea would know what the conditions would be across the seas. We have aviation products that are issued specifically to aviation users that would enable them to make a safe flight.
This is a live feed from the runway. So all the information that is displayed here is what's happening currently on the runway, and this is what is critical to all the airlines.
Information on climatic conditions is also provided to farmers and persons in construction, as well as those doing research on the environment. So the next time you see this,
some scattered shower activity over some coastal areas on the northern side of the island.
Remember, weather prediction isn't a guessing game. It's a scientific process involving sophisticated technology, providing useful information for industry, for research, for disaster management, and for life.
All residents immediately evacuate the area.
That's all the time we have for you today, but another program comes your way tomorrow. Until then, just click on our website, jis.gov.jm, to stay connected. And while you're online, send your feedback to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm or via tweet @JIS News. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.